All right, so we're getting into chapter 11, and we're going to deal with rational expressions. And the word rational means it can be written as a fraction. So most of the time when you see rational expressions, or the word rational expressions, they're talking about fractions. Okay, so as you can see, like I said, there's a fraction here. They want you to simplify the fraction. So your first step, every time they ask you to simplify a rational expression, is to see if you can cancel anything or factor and then cancel anything. So what we're going to do is, I can't factor the top, but on the bottom, do you see how they both have a 5 in common? So I can factor out a 5. So I'm going to leave the top like it is, and I'm going to factor out a 5 out of the bottom. Now I have x minus 1 and x minus 1. And now you can cancel. You have to cancel a whole term. So what's left up top? A 1. What's left in the bottom? A 5. So my answer is 1/5. And then there's this part that says state any excluded values. An excluded value is any value that would make the denominator 0, because as we all should know, you cannot divide by 0. So for any excluded values, you're going to take the original denominator and you're going to set it equal to 0, and you're going to figure out what it would have to be to make the bottom 0, and that's your excluded value. So you're just going to solve this little equation. So I get 5x equals 5, which means x is 1. When x is 1, the denominator is 0. So my answer is 1/5. X cannot be 1. It's my whole answer. It's my answer, or my simplified rational expression and the excluded value. All right, so let's do A here. There is no factoring to be done. So because I just have a monomial on the top and a monomial on the bottom, then I can just cancel. So 7 will go into 21 3 times, and these two A's will take one of those away, and I'll have one left. So now I have 3 over A is my answer. And what number can A not be? Well, if you look at the bottom, you're multiplying by A. And what number do you multiply by a number to get 0? Well, it's 0. So my answer is 3 over A, and A, well, why did I put equals? 3 over A, and A cannot equal 0. All right, and then C, I do need to factor C. So if you'll look up top, there is no common factor. 2 won't go into 3, and 3 won't go into 2, so I'm going to leave it alone. But then in the bottom, I've got 6 and 9, and I can pull a 3 out of there, and I'm left with 2n minus 3. Now you'll see, and I'm going to group the top just so you can see a little better, 2n minus 3 and 2n minus 3 will cancel each other out, and you're left with 1 over 3. And then we have to figure out our excluded value, so I'm going to take 6n minus 9 and set it equal to 0. And figure out what n can't be. So 6n equals 9, divide by 6. So n equals 3/2, which means n cannot equal 3/2 in my rational expression. Because if n does equal 3/2, the denominator is going to be 0, and that's an indeterminate form. All right, so they do get a little bit harder. This one, you can still factor the top like we had before, which was with the GCF. So if you look in the top, they both have a 3, so we're going to factor out the 3. And we'll be left with x minus 2. But on the bottom, you're going to have to do that trinomial factoring. So you break it into 2 parentheses, and what do you multiply to get the last number, but add to get the middle number? So what two numbers could you multiply together to get -6, but add to get 1? And how about 3 plus 3 and -2? And you always kind of want to look inside your own problem to give yourself a hint. So now that you have the x minus 2 and the x minus 2, they can cancel. And you get 3 over x plus 3. Now I'm sure you've seen the sign that says don't kill the kittens. And what I mean by that is you cannot, every time you cancel like this, you kill a kitten. It's a joke. I'm not serious. But I want you to think of it that way. Because wouldn't that just be horrible? To kill a kitten? Yes, it would. So every time you do that, I want you to think of it as you are killing a kitten. You cannot cancel that way. You can only cancel whole factors like x minus 2 and x minus 2. This is not a factor. It's a term in the binomial in the bottom. Okay, so that's my answer. And then I have to also say what x cannot equal. We're going to say x cannot equal what? So you're going to take the bottom. You're going to set it equal to 0.